When was the last time you were able to sit down and focus on deep work for an hour straight? A full hour of giving your undivided attention to the task right in front of you. Even when you're with close friends or family, you can't give them your undivided attention because you keep checking your phone every 5 seconds. When it comes time to study, it takes you 3 hours to go through a regular textbook reading because you keep checking your phone to check TikTok, reply to texts, or watching recommended YouTube videos. Worse yet, you can't even sit alone with your thoughts for just 5 minutes without putting something on in the background because it triggers your anxiety. I'm gonna let you into a little secret that anxiety and that inability to focus and that overall restlessness is due to overstimulation. How do I know this? Because I was just like you. I have personally found it to take 3 times as long as everyone else to complete the same projects and assignments, and when it came to grading time, I would literally do the exact same and sometimes if not worse. Because likely during the test my mind was elsewhere, and probably while during studying my mind was elsewhere, and anything that kind of fell outside of the realm of sports and like music and like hanging out with friends, I just found straight up miserable and didn't want to do it. It was only until I lowered my overstimulation that I actually noticed everything to be a lot more enjoyable. Once I figured out that focus as well as learning how to be less stimulated was something that could actually be practiced, that I actually started to see positive results in my life. And in this video, I want to share exactly how you can avoid stimulation in the best ways I know how. It's the ability to focus on one single task at a time that makes life so much more enjoyable. But how do we do this in an overstimulated world? That's the topic of this video. If you get any value from this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get right into the presentation. What's up guys, welcome to my presentation of how to avoid constant stimulation. As you can see in parentheses, it says realistic because this is what I did and kind of what I continue to do. I just want to really point out that while these are habits that you guys can all follow, it's not something that I have to consciously think about anymore because I've made it into a habit. And that's kind of what I want for you guys, to be able to focus and practice this for a little bit, but make it into a habit so you guys can honestly just start living this way naturally. But without further ado, let's get right into the presentation. I've basically laid it out into 4 steps. And step 1, in order to avoid your stimulation, is that you must locate the physical triggers or cues in your specific environment. So does most of the stimulation in your life come from your phone? Does it come from your computer? Does it come from video games? Locate the physical triggers that cause it. If it's your phone, you need to act accordingly. If it's your computer, you need to do accordingly. If you can't stop playing PlayStation, you got to do something according to that. And now, more importantly, not only is it the physical triggers, but where is the environment in which you are constantly stimulated? Is it your room? Or is it your house in general? Is it your friend's house? Is it a certain area in which you are more likely to be stimulated than not? And you can see in my second bullet point that environment is just as important, if not more. And the reason for that is that once you locate your physical triggers, you're acknowledging you have a problem so that you know how to diagnose the problem. For example, a doctor is not able to diagnose you if he doesn't know what the problem is. So step 1 is to locate where is it coming from and where is it happening. So for example, if it's your room where you can't stop scrolling, or if it's your room where you like keep your PlayStation to do video games and you want to stop this, change up the area in which you do work, or change up the area in which you spend most of your time. Instead of your room, make it the living room. Or if it's your overall house, make it to the library where you are going to be less physically stimulated. As you can see in this bullet point, it says go to the library because that's where people are working. There isn't like people walking around. There isn't people talking. Everything is pretty peaceful and quiet for you to actually get work done. For me, my personal physical triggers and cues was my phone and YouTube and just being in my room mainly. So for me, what I did was I set a plan accordingly for these 2 things. So that's why it's important that you figure out what your physical cues are so you know what to do. So for me, it was my phone and checking my phone first thing. For me, I had to set my phone far away from me. So I had to physically get up and turn it off in the morning when my alarm went off. By doing this, when I had to physically get up and turn it off, once I turned it off, I'm very unlikely to go back into bed to get tucked in and sleep again. That's just very, very unlikely considering I'm already ambitious as is. If I have to physically get up to turn it off, I'm not going to go back to bed like some bozo. And in terms of YouTube, I literally had to put a YouTube block on. It's a Google extension. I'm not sure the exact name, but this got rid of recommended videos and comments. That way I wouldn't just be scrolling, looking for more dopamine and looking for related videos. It was the most primitive version of YouTube you could ever imagine. It would literally just be the search bar and you would search up for YouTube and those exact videos would show up with very similar titles. This enabled you to use YouTube the way it's meant to be used, as a search engine and as a tool to search proactively rather than just watch recommended videos. Figure out what the physical triggers are and make a plan accordingly, but more importantly, figure out the environment where all of this stems from. Step 2 in this plan is that you must win the mornings. And what I mean by this is that you must, if for example, if it's your phone, you must stop yourself from checking your phone for even just the first hour of the day, because that good habit is likely to continue for longer periods of time. Whatever bad habits you have and whatever good habits you want to replace them with, you must replace them in the morning. So place all of your good habits, or the one thing that you want to start doing, and do it first thing in the morning, and preferably do it before eating it. But you want to do it very first thing in the day, because if you can win just the first few hours of the day, you build something called momentum, and you want to continue that throughout the day. And once momentum is built, it's almost like telling yourself, I'm going to commit these bad habits after I've just committed a string of good habits. Why would anyone do that? And there's also research that shows that our minds are most impressionable in the morning. So whatever happens in the morning is more likely to continue out throughout the day. When people say they had a bad day, usually something happened in the first half that just carried on throughout the day, that they consider it to be a whole bad day. Do you see what I mean? So whatever good habits, put that in the morning and try to crank out as much of those good habits, whether it's waking up early, making your bed, or going to the gym. Try to do all of this in the first half. Do whatever your hardest tasks are. That way it continues out throughout the day. Step number 3 to avoid constant stimulation is that you must set blocks of time in your day accordingly. So as you can see, literally set time to work and literally set up time to be stimulated if you want. Like literally put on your schedule time to unwind and time to be stimulated. And if that includes playing video games, if that includes literally scrolling on TikTok for a certain period of time, whatever you want to do, you can do it. I currently set up my day to work from 9 a.m. to around 1 p.m. every single day. And I work on the most important tasks in that 4-hour span. So everything from either recording the videos to scripting the videos to editing them or to applying to jobs and stuff like that. I try to do that all before lunchtime, because I know that I'm not going to want to continue all of the hard tasks throughout the day. And I might check on a few other things like in the remaining 1 to 2 hours of the day, like in the afternoon or something like that. But 9 to 1 is the main period where I focus on tasks that are really important, such as recording this video or editing it or something like that. Following the schedule of working really hard in the morning from 9 to 1, this has helped me keep my screen time to less than 2 hours a day. And literally 1.5 hours of that time literally comes from after lunch in the second latter half of the day. So set blocks of time, set a time where you really want to work, and then set time where you want to be stimulated. And you're just going to be less likely to want to be stimulated after working really, really hard anyways to begin with. So I think this really works well. And the last step on this list to avoid constant stimulation, I think this is the most crucial step on this list, and it's something called mindfulness. And I don't think any of us are as mindful as we should be. Once you actually become mindful, the most boring things become interesting. And basically, I've written it on my slides, when we are not in good shape mentally, we crave things that will comfort us. So our phone to our mind when we're mentally unwell is what fried chicken is to our body when we're physically sick. We crave these things so much more when we're not doing well. When your mind is very loud and you're not in good mental health, you crave TikTok more, you crave Netflix more, you crave all of these things. When you have a cold, think about it, you want junk food, you want ice cream, you want the oily and fatty foods, because your body is not well and it craves the bad things. We nowadays crave shorter and shorter and even more stimulated content because our mental health is further declining, and we need more and more stimulation just to keep equally as engaged. And I think the best solution for this is that meditation, for example, which is something I do every single day for a minimum of 10 minutes. I've started to try to do it twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. Meditation and journaling specifically makes you aware of how loud and gross your thoughts are. I literally meditated this morning and I was just literally thinking about stuff that happened 3 months ago and how that will affect my future later down the line while meditating. And think about how many of these thoughts occur on a daily basis when you're focusing on something right in front of you, but you're thinking of something from months or years ago. By meditating constantly, you realize how loud your thoughts are. And with journaling, you can actually physically see your thoughts on paper and you realize wow, how loud my mind has really been all of this time. And this is all due to overstimulation. By always being checked in with your phone, always trying to be up to date with trends and stuff like that, that is just a losing game. Through constant meditation, journaling, yoga, stuff like this, your thoughts eventually become much quieter and softer, and you become more peaceful. And this is super, super important because mindfulness makes this itch, makes this want to consume less, because once you are peaceful and you no longer crave all of these things, you don't actually need the stimulation. And I think this is so much more powerful because with all of these with all of these other steps, for example, of locating your physical triggers, with winning the mornings and setting blocks of time in your day, all of these things are taking care of the symptoms, but not the root problem. You're taking the symptoms of like trying to avoid getting physically distracted, but this is literally stopping the want, the itch to being distracted, stop from occurring in the first place. This mindfulness step is actually getting to the root cause of all of your problem. It's literally entering your brain and quieting it down so you don't actually have the urge to want to be overstimulated. I think if you put all of these 4 steps into practice, kind of like I did, and you stick it out for just literally 2 weeks, you stick with all of these things, you are going to see a massive difference. But as always, hopefully this makes sense and you got a ton of value. And as we enter the outro of this video, as always, I hope you got a ton of value from it. And if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if there's any type of content you want to see in the future, please also leave a comment below. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.